Hello, and welcome to the 10th act of Subversive Kindnesses for October. And heaven knows, we need kind acts of subversion at least as much as we did when we opened the door to this year in January. I said from the outset that these acts might mention Seamus Heaney more than once. And why not? And I think I've only felt any kind of irritation with that wonderful poet once. Well, I felt it quite often, but it's about the same matter: blackberry picking. Now, of course, there's nothing wrong with the poem. It's justly popular and celebrated. But I'm a forager, and I'm always tetchy at the thought of picking all these fine brambles and then wasting them, leaving them to acquire that rat-grey fungus. How very dare he? And because I have such a thing about that, I'm not going to read the poem. Anyway, you know it. You know it so well, just as you know Plath's mushrooms. So, here is the famous Seamus on the subject of another foraging treasure. Sloe gin. The clear weather of juniper darkened into winter. She fed gin to sloes and sealed the glass container. When I unscrewed it, I smelled the disturbed, tart stillness of a bush rising through the pantry. When I poured it, it had a cutting edge and flamed like Beetlejuice. I drink to you in smoke-merled, blue-black, polished shoes, savage and reliable. And for that tribute to what John Clare called jetty sloes, I'm going to try to bury my bramble problem. This month is very much a forager's month, heavy in fruit and fungi, a busy time for taking the better days into the darkness. There's something to forage for every month, of course, but autumn is unquestionably the prime time. I have great joy in finding foods in the wild, being outside and coming home to cook and preserve my spoils. What do we forage? And why do we forage? How do we emerge from the experience? Maybe with a lot of scrapes, fall in the bog feet, twigs and leaves and hair, or even the odd tick to be removed. Remove them speedily, of course. I commend Mark Doty's poem on those beasties to you, and that's really as near as you want to be to them. But there's so much foraging going on, both in a literal and metaphorical sense. But we're not quite ready to leave brambles and Heaney land. Here's Robin Robertson in a poem taken from his wonderful collection, well, they're all wonderful collections, A Painted Field. Hands of a farmer in County Tyrone. He wore fish gutter's gloves to pick brambles, scoured leather without fingertips, so his fist could find the insides of the bush and open around the soft black heart for the easing of the fruit. He was a thorn in the fenced garden, his hand at the command wire, paying out the line from culvert to shach. They were on his land, so he pulled the road up by the root. Fabulous. Foragers, like open water swimmers, rarely arrest people with their elegant attire mid-activity. So why do we do it? We could just go to shops, couldn't we? And indeed, it's not quite all hobnail boots, torn sweaters, berry-stained fingers, and jelly bags leaking in kitchens, though in my case, quite a lot of it is. Here is the amazing Elaine Fithian taking on that most amazing of fruits, the quince. Tough as a neep to cut, and then poaching, that magic happens. The colour change, the scent of roses. Her poem is the titular one from her superb collection published by Red Squirrel, Portrait of the Quince as an Older Woman. There it is. Portrait of the Quince as an Older Woman. It waits in the basket, insouciant, round of limb and buttock, furry as a doe's back. Lay hold and feel its heft and mass, how it's bony as a skull. Wash it, and the down rubs off. Scrub roughly till the skin's alive and sheens with promise. Choose the sharpest knife to reveal the core. Its coarse, dry flesh will roll from the blade and resist unless the touch is firm. Persist, it must be sliced, cut into pieces, for only then will the body relent to open, soften. Simmer in red wine or water, with sugar and pips to help it set. This tough fruit will burnish to a jellied rose, with honey kiss. It takes new form. The recipe's too onerous for those whose appetites are raised on pluck and eat. Aphrodite's foot of love, whose art is being lost. Wise women know, give her time. She'll gift her ruby harvest. Praise the quince. Fantastic. A wonderful poet. Now this comes to you, of course, on National Poetry Day, which is timely. Equally, it couldn't arrive earlier as I had a lurgy and an unreliable voice. One of my go-to treatments for a sore throat is elderberry cordial. And I know the Python take on that all too well. I dare say you can buy such an elixir over the counter. But why would you, when the boor trees are hanging black? My dad once asked me what on earth these elderberries he'd heard of were. I assured him he knew fine well. No, he said. Okay, I said, we'll see some in a minute when we're walking. And of course we did. Oh, boor trees, said Doric speaking dad, completely underwhelmed. And of course, they're also boor trees to Heaney. Did I mention I like his work? Despite his way with brambles. Maybe I did. Elderberries, of course, were long used in the treatment of sore throats. Even in Elizabethan times, I'm sure Anne Hathaway was very keen to send her husband to that second best bed, hot elderberry juice at the ready. When he was getting a bit hoarse, say the night before an opening. And of course, it was one of those slightly derided remedies until a wise scientist in the 1950s isolated that something in elderberries which does indeed attack the causes of many sore throats. I generally take mine hot, laced with cloves, after winter swims. You can never be too careful, even if it means you shake this purple stuff all over your towel and your socks in December. That's the least of your problems. Now, I won't keep you much longer because I know you have boor berries to boil, and I have so many thoughts about how we answer the question, what do you do? And perhaps even more dangerously, what are you? What are you? How often we define that by our paid employment. That seems very one-dimensional to me. So here's a poem of my own, inspired by a delightful man I met many years ago in a Turkish village. On a retiral, We shared Octoberfuls, tasty with apple tea, under tangerine trees. I asked what he did. Ah, the Royal Bank pays me, but I source old harpsichords, which I restore. Some need me for years. I play them, then pass them on to others who love them. My passion, that's who I am. So here's to that man, and to all of us here, proud parents, and the fine folk with 5 notions for footrits, to the foragers, tick seekers, the boilers of berries, to people who pastel gin blossoms, to the big ones who squeeze into kids' rainbow wellies and jump puddles, to protesters, to sledgers, to singers up sycamores, to wild garlic walkers, to swimmers near crannogs, to dog walkers stopped at great shaggings of frogs, to lovers, to Latvian learners, to the caring, the crazy, those laughers, and to all of the people we are without pay. Now I wish you fine foraging, and I look forward, assuming you don't pick the wrong mushroom and eat it, but I really look forward to meeting you again in October for something playful. And I'll be the one with the blackthorn ripped wrists and purple lips. Thank you.